Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. For those of you that have been following me, thank you. I welcome you back, and I welcome, as always, any new viewers. As always, we're going to see how well the computer did in predicting the Maryland 3-digit lottery singles first, and then we'll take a look at how well the computer did with the 3-digit doubles. Stay tuned. Before we get started, this listing will be posted before the evening drawing on October the 31st, which is today. So if a number comes out in the evening drawing on the 3-digit or 4-digit, please make note of it. Okay, here's the winning numbers for October Maryland Lottery 3-digit singles. Okay, we had 518 came out on the 1st. We had 792 came out on the 7th, and we had 375 that came out on the 13th. That was a straight hit. And we had 578 to come out on the 23rd. Now let's take a closer look at these hits. We see that one hit came from the high hitting column, which is the sum column. If you notice that 578 has a red dot, that means that that pattern had not produced a hit so far this year. And in 12 months, all patterns usually hit at least once, most hit multiple times. So I'm not surprised that a hit came from there. You look at the high hitting rows, frequency 4561. You see two hits came from there, the 375, which came out straight, and the 518. The 518 is also a pattern that has hit the most in the month of October. You see the X, that 375 also intersects the X, so that's a hot number. As we know, numbers that intercept the X pattern, they tend to hit each and every month. Okay, where, on what days did the program produce these hits? Well, that Sunday was a high hitting day with a frequency of 32. A hit also came out that Monday. That Monday did not hit last month, so it hit this month. And also that Friday and Saturday. Friday and Saturday both are high frequency days. In terms of the intervals, you see where the frequency 41, that's the first interval. We got two hits from that interval. We got a hit from the second interval. That's from the 8th through the 14th. That interval had not hit for 2 months, so it hit this month. And we also got a hit from the last interval, which is a high hitting interval. So each of the high hitting intervals produced the hit. If playing on the week of the high hitting intervals, high hitting rows, high hitting columns, and playing the X or hot numbers, you will certainly get a hit. Now you see the first is a check mark. It just means that that's a hot date. The program hit the most on those dates. Okay, so it hit on the 1st and the 7th. So those, no, the 7th isn't a hot date, but the 1st is a hot date. The 13th is a hot date. So it hit on two of the hot dates. So when we look at the predictions for November, you kind of know where the hits are going to come from. High hitting columns, high hitting rows, numbers in sequence. That 394, which is the last pattern in the sum column, look for that to hit in November or December. Okay, so let's take a look at the predictions. Okay, here are the predictions for November. Excuse the handwritten frequencies, but the high hitting columns are the end column and the sum column. That's frequency of 46 and 56. You see on the sum column that last number, 908. That's a number in sequence. That pattern also has not produced a hit. Where you see the line drawn underneath the number, like 201, 258, 453, and 516, those patterns, the patterns that produce those numbers, the pattern has only hit one time. I'm looking for a hit to come from one of those designated patterns in November or December. Also note that there is a duplicate on the list, 736. That's in the lead column, the second pattern in the lead column. And the mid column, it's the first number, 367. We know that duplicates come out. We have numbers in sequence, which we know come out. The 431, the 367, 839, 263, 516, 908, 453, definitely the 201. Quite a few numbers in sequence. We know that they come out. The high hitting rows are 45 and 61, where you see the blue I, that's called the intercept. The intercept is you intercept a high hitting column with a high hitting row. It points to a particular number, and those numbers tend to hit as well. Last month, a hit came from each of the columns and each of the rows. When we look down at, don't forget about the X. That's a given. The hot numbers that intercept the X, do come out. Oh, that 908 looked really, really good for me to load up on. Anyway, when you move down to the calendar, the days of the week, the frequencies are circled in green. We've got quite a few high-hitting days that hit in the month of November from 96 to 2022. We see that the program didn't hit on Wednesday last in October, and it didn't hit on Tuesday, and as well as Monday. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday did not produce a hit on those days in the month of October. So I'm looking for a hit to come from one of those days in November. When you look at the frequencies, the intervals, you see frequency 39, 43, 39, 42. Even though it is not designated, the intervals that did not hit last month, we know that the all hits came from all of the intervals with the exception of the third interval. The third interval did not hit last month. Could be a hit, could come from that particular interval this month, even though it's not a high hitting interval. You look at the check marks besides the date, we went over that. You know that those are the dates that the program produced a hit on generically. So it's just something to take note in terms of your strategy. Okay, we're going to look at the doubles. We're going to see how well the computer did in predicting the doubles, 3-digit doubles, and then we're going to post a prediction, but we're going to move through very fast. You can apply the same things for the 3-digit single to the double. As we know, the doubles do not hit as much as the 3-digit single, and sometimes you get the whammy. I call a whammy when the program does not produce a hit in that particular month. So anyway, let's take a look at the doubles. Okay, let's take a look at the doubles. As you can see, there are 2 hits so far as of midday on the 31st of October. That's 770. That 770 was on the list from last month, and we also have a 336. I believe 336 came out straight. The hits came in the first interval, which is a high hitting interval, and it came in the last interval, in which the last interval did not hit in the previous month. You see that all of the rows were high hitting rows. Only 2 high hitting columns. No hits came from any of the high hitting columns. I would suspect that a hit will come from one or two of those columns this month. Also, the X, the hot numbers, you see that 770 is a hot number, and we know hot numbers come out. Okay, now let's post the predictions for the month of the month of November, 3-digit doubles. Okay, just a few things to note and reiterate. You see that the high-hitting columns are the lead column and the sum column. Of special note is the end column. That column hasn't hit for about 4 months. I'm looking for a hit to come from that column. You see the high-hitting intervals, high-hitting rows, 18, 25, and 19 are the frequencies. You see the second, third, and fourth rows has not produced the hit. Also, don't forget about the X hot numbers. A hit will probably come from the X numbers. Of note, the calendar, you have Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, and Tuesday are high frequency days. A hit may come on one of those days, but you can't live by it. What I normally live by is definitely the intervals. The high-hitting intervals from the 8th to the 14th. I believe a hit is going to come from one of those dates. Also, the other high-hitting interval is from the 22nd to the 28th. I believe a hit will come from that interval as well. And I'm going to keep my eye on the third interval, the 15th to the 16th, because that has not produced a hit in a couple of months. Okay. I don't know what you guys are going to be doing in the month of November. I know you're going to be eating Thanksgiving dinner. But I know I'm going to be playing the Merlin Lottery because I'm Gary the Number Runner.